my response to that broker would be, what if I told you that when you were cold calling people or knocking on doors to sell? Someone said you're being annoying. That's how we get business. We're annoying. Okay. So that's how we're going to get engagement too, is we're going to hit people over and over. And some people are going to get annoyed. That's true. You are going to get people that it's just too much communication, and they can unsubscribe for an email or they can stop on a text message if they choose to do so. There are other people who need that reinforcement. For example, we moved to a new physical therapy point solution here at Alera Group, and they were sending me these emails. And I was like, I don't need physical therapy. I don't need physical therapy. So I saved them in my inbox and whatever. I didn't even open them. And then I tore my hamstring over the summer. And then I needed physical therapy. And I went up and I pulled that email up. Like, I saved it because I knew I would need it.
Sure.
So I think, the main solution is keep doing it. Like, you're going to lose some people, yes, but the people who need it, you'll be there when they need it. And that's really what matters.
Welcome to the RockstarsRocking podcast, powered by Voluntary Disruption, a show dedicated to people who are crushing their business and life goals. These are bite-sized conversations with leading rock stars in their respective industry who are pumped to share their story to help drive you to the next level. So, are you ready to rock? Speaking of rock stars, here's your host, Eric Silverman.
Hey, rock stars, welcome back to another episode of Rockstars Rocking, where I only have, I say it every week, I only have the finest, the most exceptional rock stars in their given industry, their given profession, in their life that are rocking it out. And this week is no exception, I promise you. Everybody meet my good friend, Stacy Fry. For those that don't know Stacy is the Director of Communications at an Alera Group company called AI. And she's also heavily involved with what was formerly known as NAHU, that is now, as of the recording, as of less than a month ago, technically, known as NABIP. NABIP, I don't know. What is it, Stacy? NABIP?
It's a hard A. We're very serious about that. It's a hard A. It's NABIP.
A hard A. So were you a proponent of NAHU being a hard A, or were you a NAHU girl?
No, I was always a NAHU girl, and it was, so you're not far from me. I'm in Pennsylvania. I always know who's from Western PA when they call soda pop. So I always knew who was not from here when they called it NAHU. Or even more egregious was NAHU when people would call it.
Awful. Absolutely awful. I hated that. I'll be honest, though. I'll be the first to admit, and I think I've said it before when I've interviewed some of the former presidents over the last couple of years. I think I first used to say NAHU. I know you're about to hang up on me, but I think I said NAHU, and then I surrounded myself with smart people who said NAHU, and then I changed it. But I totally agree. The NAHU, where you spell it out, that would drive
those people.
That's right. Who are those people? Psychos. Right. Wait, yeah. What did I say? I said it. You didn't say it. I said it. All right. Well, look, Stacy, I'm excited to have you here today. We're going to talk about NABIP. We're going to talk about Alera Group. We're going to talk about communication. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. And I'm just going to dive right in. Do you mind?
Yeah, let's do it.
So my question, which I'm always fascinated how people get into the industry. So you were not necessarily in the employee benefits world prior to stepping into the benefits world. When you did so, looks like in the 2014 timeframe, you were in billing and collections at a physical therapy place. How do you Forrest Gump your way into benefits? Like, you just woke up one day and said, you know what, honey, talking to your husband, your family, I want to sell insurance. That just sounds really awesome. Is that what happened? Like, tell me.
Kind of, actually. So you're right. I was working in medical billing and collections for a large physical therapy practice. So I actually think that gives me a really unique perspective when it comes to dealing with our clients and their employees and talking through the medical world and how to navigate that. But truth be told, my husband, and I know who some of your followers are, so I might get some slack for this, but my husband was a large group sales rep for a local Blue. And
editing team, make a note, edit that part out right now, edit it out. Minute number.
No, he no longer works there.
I'm just kidding.
But when he was working there, he my perception was he wasn't working that hard. He was going to a lot of baseball games and concerts.
You're helping yourself, by the way.
I know, it's good. I'm digging a hole. But I was like, you know what? I could do that. That seems pretty easy. So I decided to just go get my license. So I did so, and got a job at a small brokerage not far from where I am now, as an individual consultant. So I was selling individual plans, and it's okay. It just wasn't my speed. I really wanted to dive more into group. So I took this position shortly after that, and have been here, gosh, I guess 8 years almost. So time flies when you're having fun.
When you're having fun. Well, look, nobody's gonna stop listening because what you said about your husband, because by all means, they already listen to me, and I've said it publicly, literally hundreds of times on stages in front of hundreds, thousands of people. I've written articles about it. I've talked about it on my show. My name is Eric. I am a recovering carrier rep, right? That's where everybody says, "Hi, Eric." Bad joke. I did it too. Like, I was guilty as charged. I went to those same baseball games, usually Oriole games, but every now and then other teams. By the way, we started this podcast right after the Eagles just figured out a way to get to the Super Bowl. So are you an Eagles fan? And if so, congratulations.
No, I'm absolutely not. I am a Saints fan. I'm a New Orleans.
And you live in
Saints fan.
PA.
I live in PA. I'm married to a Cowboys fan. It's a rough life.
Oh
More for
gosh.
him than for me.
All right. Fair enough.
Good for them. Good for
Fair
them.
enough. Good for them. Anybody listening, congratulations to the Eagles if you're in the PA general area. All right, back on topic. So no, like I get it. I can appreciate what you were talking about with respect to your husband. And is he still in the insurance benefits world himself?
Kind of. So he actually was poached really by a consulting firm. He's now a Salesforce consultant, but he is in the healthcare vertical. So he implements Salesforce at mostly health insurance carriers. Got
it. So, all right, let's dig into something I'm passionate about. I know you're passionate about. You're technically speaking, as of less than a year ago at AIA, the Alera Group, you're director of communications. And you and I have been on panels together. We've spoken about it before. We've done, gosh, I'm about to say NAHU. We've done NABIP. It wasn't NAHU at the time. We've done webinars together, virtual stuff. I love talking about communication and enrollment and marketing and really getting employees engaged. Look, my perspective, and I'm pretty sure you believe this too, and I want to pick your brain and give some good ideas to everybody listening, is we have to do anything and everything we can to get the end user. And the end user is the true consumer of healthcare, right? We got to get the end user to be engaged. Well, how do you move the needle of engagement? How do you do that? And we can go on and on. We're going to give some ideas and tips, I hope. But the way I look at it quite candidly is, and you've probably had this before, I've been on thousands of meetings in my career where the ownership group and the C-suite and the human resource professionals, they spend countless hours, sometimes multiple meetings over years, deciding which benefit and how they want it designed. And we're talking arguably about the most educated people in the room at the company. And it blows my mind, right? Sorry, I get passionate. When that same group, all of a sudden, it's 6 meetings after 4 months, and they say, light bulb moment, I finally get it. Self-funded this, fully insured that, this benefit, that benefit. Now I get it. Oh, and we'll just, you can, set up in the break room. And if anybody wants to come figure it out and learn about it, if they want to take a look, they can come see you. Doesn't that drives me nuts? The most educated people couldn't figure it out in one quick meeting, and they want the employee makeup to do. What do you do about that? Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? And I see that internally at even my own firm sometimes, as our consultants get so wrapped up in trying to convince leadership to make a move in a right direction to lower their costs. And they finally get the leadership on board, and we're so excited and we think that's a win, and it is a win. But we forget about the employees, because if they're not going to use these point solutions that we're implementing,
it was for naught. I mean, we're really missing the boat here. So that's really why I get super excited about this. Like you, maybe not as passionate as you, but pretty close. Because that is my only job here at AIA, is to make sure that employees are engaged in their benefits, that they understand them, that they're attending the meeting, but more often than that, they're attending our whatever it is, whether it's a weekly meeting or a monthly meeting or a quarterly meeting. It has to be continued throughout the year because, like you said, the leadership team doesn't digest it over years. The employees aren't going to digest it in a 40-minute open enrollment meeting. So you totally hit the nail on the head.
It's so mind-blowing when it happens. And yes, you're right. I do nerd out or I geek out on this stuff. But, it's interesting because, I've been in the business for the better part of 24 years, only in the enhanced benefit side, what the status quo industry still refers to as voluntary or worksite. But I had my epiphany really just a few years ago when I was, and I like to think I do okay. I mean, I meet with employers and brokers and we close deals. Everything's fine. Nothing's 100%. But when I started talking about the journey of the employee communication, time continuum, if you will, versus the destination being the product, the service, the rate. Do they answer the phones? Do they email you back? The destination's important. Don't get me wrong. Everybody knows that's important, but the journey to me is so much more paramount. Can you maybe, one, if you agree, let us know, but moreover, can you share some ideas or some tips that any advisor or broker or consultant, we have a lot of those that listen to this show, maybe something that they can glean from today that would help them on their mission to provide a more well-rounded journey to the employee makeup, where again the destination is just whatever service or product you happen to be putting in.
Yeah. So, first of all, what I'm going to say is not mind-blowing. I think that's the biggest thing to take away is that as brokers and consultants, sometimes we just overcomplicate it. We make it way harder than it
Wait,
needs.
You've seen that happen too?
Oh my gosh, it's terrible. So when I took this role, I kind of did an audit of what we presented to our clients historically. And I was kind of like, oh my gosh, we speak this weird jargon of acronyms and, nuanced terms, and they don't know what we're saying. So I have three things that I really focus on. One, consistent communication. It has to happen more than once. At a minimum, it should be quarterly, but really we need to be reaching out to our employees consistently about our benefits throughout the year because, they may not care about a telemedicine or a new telemedicine provider at open enrollment, but 6 months down the road, their kid might have an ear infection that day and you caught them on the right day with a telemedicine blast, right? So it's consistent communication. One or two, just don't be so serious. It is serious. It's boring to a lot of people. It's not boring to me. It's not boring to you. It's not boring to probably anyone listening to this because we love it. It's our industry, but it's boring to everyone else. We have lost them before they get on the webinar, before they're in the room. We're digging out of a hole. So we have to be creative in our approach. We have to talk to them like people. We have to write our communications the way we speak. We have to kind of, for lack of a better term, dumb it down. We have to bring it down a level. So that's my second thing. And my third thing, I would say, I think, this is the first time there's 5 generations in the workforce, and we have to hit people where they want to be met, right? I tell a story all the time where my coworker is a baby boomer. She talks about how she loves to get her benefits information on a postcard. What? If you give me a postcard? Right? It's going under my coffee cup as a coaster. Like, don't ever send me a postcard. I'm a millennial, a geriatric millennial at that, but I like a text message, right? So we have to meet them where we are. So I think those are the 3 main things: consistent, creative, and meet them where they are.
Yeah, I mean, I love how you said dummy it down. I'll never forget in middle school, I'm also a geriatric millennial. But we're always, each of us, trust me, we're forever 29, hashtag. For those that know me, know that's a little inside joke. No, it's totally true, right? My middle school teacher, I'll never forget, English teacher, she used to tell people, don't use a quarter word when a 10-cent word will work just fine.
Love
No
that.
different, particularly, I've always remembered that. No different when it comes to benefit communication. You can't, as you said, I'll repeat it, you can't speak in jargon and acronyms. You have to dummy it down. You know, I hired years ago somebody who would just start abbreviating things when they're sending emails, right? Not this example, but like if you're going to talk about the enrollment portal and the enrollment portal happens to be employee navigator, you can't just write EN. You can't assume that people know what nav is or EN means, as an example. This is not sponsored by Employee Navigator. However, if they want to contact me, I'm always open. But you get the idea, right? These are things we take for granted, and employees and employers, they don't have no clue what we're talking about. So let me ask you this. When it comes to consistency, I've had a lot of advisors and brokers tell me when I explain that, because I agree with you 100%, they push back to me and they're like, well, but then you're going to get annoying. You're going to get you're going to be overwhelming to people. It's going to be burdensome. What's your thought process on the strategy on how to communicate, but not over communicate? Or is there any such thing as over communication?
Yeah. So my first thought process is, my response to that broker would be, what if I told you that when you were cold calling people or knocking on doors to sell? Someone said you're being annoying. That's how we get business. We're annoying. Okay. So that's how we're going to get engagement too, is we're going to hit people over and over. And some people are going to get annoyed. That's true. You are going to get people that it's just too much communication, and they can unsubscribe for an email or they can stop on a text message if they choose to do so. There are other people who need that reinforcement. For example, we moved to a new physical therapy point solution here at Alera Group, and they were sending me these emails. And I was like, I don't need physical therapy. I don't need physical therapy. So I saved them in my inbox and whatever. I didn't even open them. And then I tore my hamstring over the summer. And then I needed physical therapy. And I went up and I pulled that email up. Like, I saved it because I knew I would need it.
Sure.
So I think, the main solution is keep doing it. Like, you're going to lose some people, yes, but the people who need it, you'll be there when they need it. And that's really what matters.
I know you coach your kids' sports and so forth. I think you're coaching basketball right this moment. Not a basketball guy, but I have tried it before, and it was a show, let me tell you. But I coach all my kids when I can, or when they need to volunteer. They have a call for parent need or whatever. And every team I've ever coached, I learned this from my dad, and this was years before text message. He would always say, and I do the same. He would tell the parents, I like to over communicate. He just warned them right away. I am an over communicator. I will, and nowadays it would apply to text. We will text. Our city uses an app. We will text. We will use the app. We will email. Not so much calling, which people appreciate anymore. Years ago, my dad had to call everybody. But we would just
remember that the phone tree. Remember that?
Absolutely,
phone tree?
dude. I had a phone tree right on my refrigerator where if it was raining out, like, we would literally have to go down the line and call everybody. Like,
gosh, you just gave me a flashback.
I know, we're not old, we're wise. But I tell people nowadays, like, literally, I just started coaching a new team a few weeks ago, and I said to all the parents, I said, look, I'm going to over communicate. I would love you not to opt out of the text message, because I do need you to be on the message. But ignore it. If it doesn't apply to you or you don't need the reminder, right? Ignore it. It's like scrolling social media, LinkedIn. It's no different. Just take your thumb and keep moving. Like, who cares? But it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Well, I have that same philosophy as well when it comes to messaging and communicating with employees, whether it be a ringless voicemail drop, whether it be a text message, whether it be getting onto their intranet or Slack or Teams channel, whether it be we've done internal webinars and podcasts and custom internet sites, whatever it is. And there's a laundry list of stuff that I'm not going to go into, but you want to be able to attack it from every angle. You said it best. There's 5 generations in the workforce, for heaven's sakes, and somebody's not going to want text and somebody's going to love text. Somebody's not going to want email and somebody's going to love email, and vice versa. And to me, and I think you'd agree, I don't ever want to have a customer or a client complain and have a problem and say, well, I didn't know we offered that, and I didn't know we could do that, and I didn't have. That's not a thing if you, dare I say, over communicate. As weird as that, I don't like that term, but as weird as that sounds.
Right. Nope. Totally with you.
So when it comes to stuff that's available to clients in the marketplace now. Talk about some things that may be trending from last year, right? We're recording this at the end of January. This will be released sometime in February of 2023. What's something, I don't want a recap of 22, but what's maybe one or two industry valuable tools or products or services that maybe really helped you and your broker colleagues this year or this past year, or things maybe you see on the horizon? Anything?
Yeah, so I'll go with kind of one overall arching theme that we've seen is when I moved into this role, and I don't know if it's just us or if it's all firms, we were a bit antiquated in what we were offering in terms of open enrollment or communication materials and support. So we were doing okay, it's not just me. Whew. We were doing the old school meeting where I go and I stand up and I talk for an hour and I show you a lovely PowerPoint, and then I leave.
Did you pass out pocket folders too?
Of course.
You have to.
The whole bit, which promptly went in the shred bin on their way out of the meeting, which is fine. But when I moved, obviously during COVID, we moved to a virtual format, which really I was almost happy that we had that force to that because It gave me some analytics. So I could see how many people were actually viewing the open enrollment recording I sent. And it was the very beginning of this role. We had a client, 250 employees. I did a recording for 4 views on my open enrollment, which I was insulted because I'm fun, but still 4 views. So I was like, you know what? We got to switch this up. This isn't working. So what we migrated towards is, first of all, I'll share this tool that we love, and maybe you're familiar with it, but it's a tool by the name of Flipping Book. We have become huge proponents of Flipping Book. Essentially, you upload a PDF and it animates it. People get really excited because it makes the page turning noise, and people really love that. Which, whatever, I'm easily
ASMR.
Yeah, I'm easily pleased as well. But the nice thing about that is you can embed videos on it, and we've embedded short clips. So on the medical page, it's a 1 to 2 minute video about medical. On the vision page, same thing. So this way, if people want to hear about the medical, they listen. If not, they skip to what matters to them. And we have seen the engagement on that because everything on Flipping Book is trackable. All the links, every time they click on something, I can see where the engagement is and where they might need extra education because of that. So that's been a great tool that we've really migrated a lot of our clients to this year.
Well, I like that because it's very akin to most, really any Ben admin system and enrollment portal these days, where an employee can't easily say, well, I didn't sign up for that, or I didn't want that. Well, it shows here that you spent 14 minutes on the site and you logged in and you clicked this page and you did this and you did that. Like, it's very back in my day, right? Now I'm old. It was he said, she said. It was, well, you did acknowledge that you wanted that. Well, no, I never said it, right? There was no digital footprint. So I love how and I absolutely would encourage folks to check out Flipping Book. I love that digital footprint is the term that I like to call it, because it's so powerful for your tracking as a broker advisor, but also moreover, if you ever have an employee come back and try to say that, and it happens that, well, I didn't really understand it. Well, it shows that you watched the video and you were on the page and et cetera.
Yeah, love it.
I think that's big. So what about products? Are we still just out there with the same old? Is there anything new and exciting that brokers or advisors should take a look at that frankly you think are worthwhile or up and coming? Anything maybe non-insurance? Sometimes it's more solution based.
You're throwing me for a loop here. Let me think.
I'm putting you on the spot on purpose.
You are putting me on the spot. So again, I don't know if this is just us. I think a lot of our clients, I think it's everybody is hesitant for change or new products or anything like that. So over this past year, I have not had the opportunity to really migrate anyone away from anything. So I'm always on the lookout. I'm always taking calls. I had a wonderful call with our good friend Sims the other week, just hearing about his product. So I would say I'm just kind of in the fact-finding phase. So maybe this is a call to action for anyone watching this. If you have a product you want to sell me, now's the time, because I'm taking calls in my slow time. Because
oh my gosh,
I know I just opened up Pandora.
I was going to say you are absolutely so
deactivating my LinkedIn right now as we speak.
I'm telling you, your inbox is going to get flooded
No, but
Absolutely
you saw it.
crushed. No, go ahead.
We talked about this earlier. Like I've been in sales before, so if you're gonna pitch me, it's got to be good. I can see the BS. So
Well, let's back up for a second. One, we love Sims, episode 78, Radical Honesty of the Rockstars
right
Rocking
off the top of your
podcast. Check
head.
it out. It's right there. No, I looked it up. It's
Oh,
right here. Yeah. But I knew I wanted to find it. So aired July 14th, 2022, Sims Tillerson, episode 78. Check it out. Anyway, I like that, and I totally agree. Let me share with everybody, and maybe I'll get your opinion on it. I don't know if you've had experience. One really, really, really hot benefit that we keep getting asked about by advisors and brokers and their employer group clients. I don't go direct to market, but employer groups ultimately continue to ask about pet benefits, furry, four-legged family member benefits. And as a benefit professional, it absolutely pains me to no end that employees are quicker to spend $5, $10, $20, $30, $50 a month on Fluffy than they are on their own individual voluntary disability or buy up guaranteed issued life, or let alone any of the other plethora of programs that are out there. Now, I'm going to take my benefit professional hat off for a minute because I've got to do what the client wants. You have to meet them where they're at. And those pet benefits have become very popular. Now, where I'm seeing traction is because of the interest level. There were millions of pets adopted in the pandemic, and now people are tens of millions, hundreds of millions. Now people realize how expensive they are. Mm-hmm. And where I'm seeing traction, I don't know if you have seen this or could imagine this happening, is employees are quicker to go through open enrollment when they get a text message on their remote control, i.e. their smartphone, that says, hey, this year we're excited to bring in pet benefits. Click here to learn more. Oh, and by the way, you can learn about your health insurance too. We don't word it that way, but that's how they interpret it, right? Yeah. It's sad, but it's true. Could you imagine how that happens, or have you had any experience with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So most of our clients are self-funded, so not so much with the pet. We don't do a ton with pet insurance, but we do have a lot of point solutions that we're introducing, oftentimes mid-year, but sometimes not. And that's kind of a way that we pique their interest. Is we have sent a postcard saying, here's your new benefit for this year. Be sure to check it out. Be sure to attend open enrollment and learn about this new benefit, or text message, or, video chat, or whatever it is. So yes, absolutely. You pique their interest with one thing, and it works on me in emails from Foot Locker, right? So why wouldn't it work for benefits?
Are you a Flex member as well? I get those. I have my Flex points. I think I got one today.
No.
For Foot Locker. Yeah. Oh my gosh. You have to have one of their point program. Yes. It's totally the headline, right? Yeah. It's the headline. It's the, what's the term? The clickbait, right? Yeah. It's clickbait. And look, that stuff works, right? Oh. And from a communication standpoint, taglines and headlines and subject lines matter infinitely. So I'm encouraging brokers and advisors all the time to do A/B testing. So if you have it doesn't have to be the same industry per se, but if you have a similar size group going on back to back, and you're doing a similar communication campaign, make sure that you test various taglines and email subject lines to see which gets more open rates and so forth and so on. Yeah. All right, now let's talk about something that I know you're really passionate about, other than geeking out on actual employee benefits and enrollments. Let's talk real quick about your involvement with the BIP, with NABIP. I did it just for you. Let's talk about that. So you got involved, I imagine, with your local chapter. It looks like not too long after you got into benefits in general. And you were the president of the the Pennsylvania, I saw CPA, no, the Pennsylvania Health Underwriters Association, right? So I saw you were the president there for a year, for a number of years. And, but now you're also equally involved on the national level. And you're even, you got suckered into, you took over the reins for Emma as the chair for the Leadership Academy. Let's talk about NABIP.
Yeah, so I joined NAHU at the time. You're right, shortly after I entered this role. My first day as a NAHU member was as president of our local chapter. So I
Wait, what?
I know.
Did it not exist, or you just drew the short straw?
It existed. They needed a president, and I said yes, because I don't know how to say no. So I said
President Fry reporting to duty.
yes. Correct. So I served 4 years of a 2-year term as the Central Pennsylvania president. And then that, I think, put me on kind of a level. Most people want to get out of volunteer work sometimes, but I just kept taking on more. So they eventually asked me to serve as the vice chair of the Leadership Development Committee, which is a national committee. And Emma Fox was the chair of that committee. And under her leadership, she created the Leadership Academy, which we're really proud of. We launched it just over a year ago. And Leadership 101 consists of 12 leadership modules facilitated by NABIP members across the country on different topics, some NABIP specific, some just general leadership topics. And then we just launched 201 this month. So there are 6 new courses that you can take that are solely leadership focused and not NABIP specific. So that's the Leadership Academy. It's a total of 18 courses. You do get graduation honors if you attend annual convention, which this year is in my favorite city of New Orleans at the end of June. So that's the Leadership Academy.
So who develops that content? Does NABIP hire a team of educators to put content together? Like, how does that work?
No, that's a great question. So no, it was all curated. The first 12 were curated by Emma, and then the next 6 were curated by myself. So it's just kind of whoever is the leader of that committee, the chair of that committee at the time. So yeah, it's all grown in-house by volunteers, by our peers, and all free, included in your membership with NABIP, no extra cost.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew of it, but I certainly didn't know how the content was curated. So yep. Self-curated, that's even better from experiences and so forth. New Orleans, I just got back from a conference in New Orleans recently, and we'll be going back. I'm excited. I'm speaking at this year's National Convention. And you know what? For anybody listening, a couple things. One, who's not a NABIP member, what the heck are you waiting for? I'll spare everybody a reminder of my story because I didn't join for years and I have no excuse for it. And I've been yelled at many times for it, so don't worry. But the reality is I've never been to a national convention in person. I was only the virtual one when it was virtual. And the only reason I've never been is because historically, if you look back at most of those years, it was always the last week of June, right before the big July 4th holiday weekend. And my wife's birthday is then, and my wife is one of those persons. I love my wife, but her birthday is a week-long minimum, usually a month or two, but it's a week-long minimum, and it's a federal holiday. So we always plan our family vacation for the last week of June. This year, I'm excited because it's not the last actual week of June. I hope I'm right on that. Otherwise, she won't be happy. So for those that have not yet experienced it in person like myself, or for those that are not members, go to NABIP's website, check it out. We'll put it in the show notes if you're not clear, but get involved. This is not a NABIP podcast, but to plug an association that is working hard for us to all stay in business and have jobs and be able to help people. I can't stress enough how important it is.
And I think it's just really important to point out with the name change. Previously under NAHU, it was just a lot of brokers and consultants, but NABIP is National Association of Benefits and Insurance Professionals. And that really blew open the door as to who can join. We can have DPC providers, we can have TPAs, we can have PBMs, we can have any acronym you can think of now join the association, which I think is huge.
Well, that's a really good point because I said it, I was a recovering carrier rep. I was a carrier person for years. And I would have brokers ask me about or talk about then NAHU, and I had no idea what they were talking about. And I just kept assuming and thinking it was for advisors and brokers only. And I found out years later that, you can be a captive carrier rep. You can be a W-2 carrier rep. You can be this, you can be that, and you can be involved. They want you involved, need you involved. So I do think that the name change as a whole, as it continues to spread and people understand, I think that will continue to help and certainly grow the membership understanding and the membership base. The last thing, talk about the mentorship program that you were explaining to me earlier.
So that was also launched last year under Emma. It kind of got put on the back seat a little bit just because we were so focused on Leadership Academy. But we hear often when new members join the association, they are overwhelmed. They have the local chapter, the state, the national, this email, this committee. It's a lot. There's a lot going on. So we really put a focus on relaunching the mentorship program. That's under the leadership of Dawn McFarland, and she's done a fantastic job getting this program on its feet. It's a very simple application process to be a mentee or a mentor. I mean, it's like 7 or 8 questions, and then they pair you with somebody based on your responses. And you take it from there. You meet as often or as not often as you'd like. You really hold the reins in that relationship, and it's gotten really good feedback.
And is that's, I assume, open to everyone, not just brokers? So it could be a broker being paired with a carrier rep. It could be a carrier rep mentoring a new broker who's just out of college and into the business. So that it kind of transcends. It doesn't really matter.
Correct.
I like that. Okay, good. I need to get involved. I didn't know
Also
that. That's
free.
awesome.
Yep.
And it's also included in the
Included in your membership.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Exactly. So before we let you go, I wanted to switch gears from business for just a half a second, and just talk about your decision to get healthy. Right. Not only the long story, but I follow you on Instagram. We've been friends for a while, and you just one day decided you wanted to get in shape, and I know how much you love getting up at 5 a.m. and going to the gym.
Yeah. So it's not a super long story. I was an athlete my whole life, and then I went to college, and there's freshman 15, there's freshman 50, there's freshman whatever you got. So I came out of college not in the shape that I wanted to be in. I lived a very unhealthy lifestyle for a long, long time. I have 2 children. My son is 8, and right after I had my son, I decided that was it. Like, I needed to get my life together. I did have, in full transparency, I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy surgery, March 2015. So that's weight loss surgery. It's a form of weight loss surgery. And many people say that's the easy way out. And for the first 2 years, it is the easy way out. You can eat whatever you want, you cannot exercise, and you can lose a lot of weight. And then real life takes over, and you have to be good. You have to eat well, you have to exercise. I lost about 115 pounds after I had weight loss surgery, and I probably gained 65 of it back. And then I really was like, you know what? This was a tool. I was given a tool to use, and I'm not using it. So it was 2019, beginning of 2019, I started eating better. January 2020, got my Peloton. Right before COVID hit, thank God. I didn't have to wait in that COVID mess.
I had to wait that whole year till 21 anyway.
Nope. January 10th, 2020, mine was delivered. And that's really when it changed for me. I started eating just very low carb, working out, and it became a lifestyle. And I was able to drop almost all of the weight that I had put back on, which was great. But also I just created a healthier lifestyle for myself. I felt better. My joints felt better, and my kids saw me doing it. And now they do it, and they run. Now I'm a Peloton addict. I got the tread this Christmas, but my kids run on the tread. We do the family workouts together. My daughter wants to run the Disney 5K. So that's probably what I'm most proud of, more than I can fit in a smaller pant size, is that I've created a healthy environment for my kids too. So thank you for asking.
I love it. I love it. And I didn't know that background. I knew you went on a health kick, but I didn't know that. So I appreciate you sharing that. I'm sure you've talked about it before, but I know there are people listening that can appreciate that. And a lot of people do say it's the easy way out. It's not. I have personal family members that have had that done. And it's not like you can just go to the doctor and snap your fingers and say, I want that done. It's a magic pill. It doesn't work that way. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes. So anyway, listen, anybody that needs or wants to get in touch with Stacy, she is not hard to find. She's social, just like me. She's all over LinkedIn. You can find her there. And don't forget, if you sell something, she will talk to you. So just literally to remind you, if you missed that part, just inbox the crap out of her, slide into those DMs. Is that what the kids call it? I think that's what wait, let's not do that. Let's not go there. And go try to pitch her. But remember, you better be ready, because she's a salesperson. She's not gonna take your nonsense. No BS. Got to have something legit. With all seriousness, Stacy, I appreciate you coming on. I just show up, have some fun, ask some candid questions, but I don't do any of the editing or anything. That's my team. So for everybody behind the scenes at the Rockstars Rocking podcast, I am Eric Silverman. That is still and always will be the one, the only Stacy Fry. Until next week, everybody, don't just have a good week, make it a great week. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Rockstars Rocking podcast. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. And if you feel so inclined, please leave us a review. 5 stars would totally rock. Until next time, Rockstars, keep rocking.